Welcome to the Cory Lee Show, where our focus is on building leaders and transforming culture. My name is Cory Lee, and in each episode, I aspire to ignite something on the inside of you that encourages you to grow yourself and to make an impact on the world around you. Welcome to the Cory Lee Show. Hey guys, welcome back to the Cory Lee Show. I've got another exciting episode today. Got a friend with me, Joey Mure. He is a co-founder and partner at Wealth Without Wall Street. He's a speaker, educator, and author. And I love something he says. One of his key focuses is helping individuals achieve financial freedom through faith-driven strategies that align values with sustainable passive income creation. That's good stuff, Joey. And so, Joey, I just want to say welcome to the Cory Lee Show, man.
Man, glad to be with you. I love being with like-minded people.
Yeah, looking forward to our conversation. And a couple of things. I want to read a little bit about your bio, and then I would love to hear a little more about your journey. And so you're the co-founder and a partner with what we just talked about, Wealth Without Wall Street, and you're dedicated to helping individuals achieve financial independence through passive income strategy. I think, man, me and my kids, so we've got three kids, 14, 11, and 9, and they said something the other day that goes along with that. I think there's so much opportunity right now that even they are starting to pick up on some of that and how you can create passive income strategies. And so I'm looking forward to some hearing what you have to say on that. But over a decade of success in the mortgage industry, your focus started to shift to empower others to break free from the traditional financial systems and build lasting wealth. But I really would love to hear, Joey, take us on the journey. How did you get from where you were to where you are today?
Great question. I was on the same path that most everybody is. You hear the phrase, go to school, get good grades, go to college, get a degree, get a job, make good money, and one day you'll retire. And I found out my late 20s, I was making over $300,000 a year in the mortgage business. And to be honest, I thought that was like crazy good results. Active income is super high for somebody from Birmingham, Alabama. That it's not a super expensive place to live. But I looked up and I thought, this doesn't feel like success, And why was that? It was because I have 5 daughters. You just mentioned your kids. I have 5 daughters. And it seemed like as my income increased, my time was getting stolen. Little by little by little, just kind of boiling the frog. And I looked up and I was in many different scenarios. I'll just mention one. I was at the beach with my kids and my wife, and I told them, I said, hey, y'all go down to the beach. I'll be down there. I have to take one more phone call. And what happened? 4 hours later, I'm walking down that little boardwalk behind the beach house, and there they are coming up the same boardwalk the opposite way. And I just see on their face the disappointment. Dad's with us physically. He's physically in the same location, but he is miles away, mentally, emotionally disconnected, because I had to keep my foot on the proverbial pedal to maintain that sort of high income. And it became more and more and more time. And I just realized, this doesn't feel like success. I don't have much to show for it, is what it really boiled down to. And I didn't know what the answer was at that time, Cory. I'm not going to, try to make it up. I didn't know, but I knew what I had been doing wasn't the answer. And 2009, I got introduced to a book that I read that just turned everything on its head. And I thought, oh man, this makes so much more sense. I start implementing some of the things from the book. 4 years later, I'm like, I need to be teaching people this. This is a game. I haven't arrived, but man, this is a game changer people need to know about. They don't know about. And that set me on the journey that, a couple years later, we started Wealth Without Wall Street. A year after that, we started a podcast. And then, man, we're now a few years after that, 7 years after that, I guess, and we're sitting on over 50,000 a month in passive income between my business partner and I, and we're showing people all the shortcuts of that journey so that they can have similar results in faster time. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it, or overview, but we can dive into any one of those pieces that would be helpful.
Yeah, dude, that's awesome. I love that. And man, so many leaders, especially entrepreneurs, get caught into this trading hours for dollars and those kind of things. And you talked about the frog in the boiling water. You're in that rat race there. But I'm curious, what book did you read?
Well, my mentor ended up being my mentor for over a decade. Nelson Nash wrote the book "Become Your Own Banker." And the funny thing was, I was at Wells Fargo Bank at the time. And so I was like, I don't understand this idea of become your own banker. I mean, just seemed kind of like an odd title. But really, the tenets of it were to take control of your finances.
Yeah.
Think about it from even a Christian kind of perspective. Become the owner, become the one who has the responsibility to steward your own wealth instead of abdicating it to somebody else. And that was really where the Wall Street, mindset had come in for me. And I think it comes in for a lot of us is we've been told we just need to take our money we've earned and give it to somebody else to maintain it and manage it and grow it, because we're not the ones that are smart enough. We don't have the knowledge. It's too complex. And this book woke me up to the simplicity of it. That really, it's just like our health, just like parenting, it's just like marriage. Like, you can't hand those things off to everybody else. Nobody cares about your money like you do. Nobody cares about your children like you do, your marriage like you do. I equate the whole thing to that. And that book kind of just shook me up and woke me up to a different way of thinking about it. And that's made all the difference.
Yeah, dude, I like that. I'm curious on that. Like, what specifically was it that shifted for you? Like, how did you start down that route of, obviously you worked for someone else, and now you got a good little revenue stream coming in for yourself. Like, what specifically clicked, and like, what was your first step?
Well, that was the thing. I'd be lying if I told you I knew all that I know now at that first, entryway. But the entryway was for me is that he kind of pointed out the fact that we have historically given up our cash flow to somebody else. We've put it in all these money traps. Think about like 401ks, IRAs, 529 plans, paying down the debt on our house as fast as possible. You have a lot of financial gurus out there telling you that's a good thing. Pay off your debt as fast as you can and all these sort of things. And if you really zoom out, all those things are parting you with your money. And they're putting them in places that are either difficult to get your hands on or impossible without penalties and other things until much later in life. Think about, at the time I was reading this, I was in my late 20s, and most of those vehicles you can't access until you're 59 and a half or 60. But if we're honest about what we're really after, and I don't mean that everybody is, but most people would tell me, if I say, hey, when would you want to be financially free? They would say, today, right? Like, if I could pull up my calendar and I got to put all the little color-coded boxes on my calendar, that would be freedom, right? But instead, we all have those boxes dictated to us by somebody else, whether it's an employer or our own business that is really just a job that we own. I mean, those things, in order for us to own our own time, we have to do something different with money. We can't lock it up. And so in his book, he talked about this concept called the infinite banking concept, and putting that money into a vehicle that we own, control, and has all these benefits that I had never even considered before. In fact, if it gives you any sort of, kind of context, I told you I was working at Wells Fargo at the time. And I said, I'm going to go around to these executives at the bank. These are the regional presidents and like the big wigs of the bank, in your hometown. And I go around to them and say, hey, I'm reading this book, and he's talking about this vehicle of super high cash value whole life insurance. And, to be honest, Cory, I don't know if that word, strikes fear into your heart or anxious anxiety, but I was anxious to ask the question because I had heard this is the dumbest thing you could put money into, right? Whole life insurance. Nobody puts money in that. And in fact, that's what all these people told me, like these executives. They're like, nobody who knows what to do with money puts money in whole life insurance. Like it's a terrible place. And I thought for a minute, well, maybe, this is a bad thing. And then I was prompted to go look at the bank's balance sheet, Wells Fargo. And I'll challenge anybody who listens to your show, go look at your bank, the place where you deposit your money, and look at their balance sheet. You can find them different places like FDIC.gov and other places online. And just look at where does the bank put their money. And you won't be shocked, but most banks have a lot of money in real estate, right? They have the best locations, these really pretty buildings. A lot of them have marble here and there, like they're fancy. But if you scroll down, at the time, Wells Fargo had about $12 billion in real estate when I looked at this. And I was like, okay, not surprised. But you scroll down that same balance sheet to line 41, and they had $19.3 billion in cash value life insurance. And I thought, they almost have double what they have in real estate in life insurance. And here I am talking to the regional presidents and the executive of this bank, and they're telling me nobody who knows anything about money puts money in this. Meanwhile, they were all insured by the bank. Because the bank, well, this is the takeaway from it, okay? Do what banks do, not what they say. Do what banks do, not what they say. And that to me is a impactful thing. And his book was telling me that. And I just said, okay, well, I'm going to follow the people that do know what to do with money. And that's big banks. So I started capitalizing a system of these policies designed the way he talked about. And that changed everything, Cory, because then all of a sudden I have access to cash where I didn't have it before. I was putting it in all these places that I couldn't touch for 40 years. And so here I am thinking, I've got now this pile of cash that's got to do something. And that took me on this whole journey, teaching other people that same process, and then figuring out I need to know what to do with it. And that really forced me to become an investor, which we can dive into that too. I'm sorry I'm long-winded, but just get passionate thinking about how the Lord really guided these steps for sure.
Yeah, no, that's good. I'm curious to hear, why do you think it is that they would say that, like, nobody puts their money there, nobody that knows anything about money puts it there? Is there something they're protecting, or like what's the deal there?
Well, if you think about it, life insurance is a savings vehicle.
Yeah.
But most people, when you ask them that question, should I put money in life insurance? They immediately equate it as a comparison against other investments. Like, oh man, I can get a higher rate of return in, an ETF or, in this mutual fund or in real estate or whatever. But the reality is it's really a comparison against your savings account. And when you do that, when you think about that, it's just a storage place. When I put money into this life insurance, it's growing at 4 to 5% tax free. And it's growing over the course of my entire life. It gives me a death benefit, and it's also accessible in the way of I can leverage against that cash value with a loan provision from the insurance company. Well, compare that to a savings account. For historically, as long as you and I have been alive, Cory, interest rates on savings accounts have been abysmal, right? 0.02% for the vast majority of that time. Right now, they might be a little higher, but it will go back down because they never really paid that much. But they're also taxable. They have no death benefit associated, and you can't leverage them like you can against these life insurance policies. So when you compare those two things, it's a no-brainer. But most people equate it to an investment, which it's not. You're going to do an investment from your savings, not in place of your savings. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, and that makes total sense. I love how you even brought that out of when people compare, investment vehicles. They're really comparing it to the savings account, which I've never had anytime I guess since I even opened a savings account, never got anything off of that. It's just, like you said, park your money there. You know, I guess what I'm really curious about too, Joey, is, people, Dave Ramsey, right? Dave Ramsey, really popular. Infinite banking. I would love to hear, can you explain what that is? And then I've heard Dave talk about that a little bit. He is not a fan. And so I would love to hear, like, why would Dave Ramsey not be a fan of that? And so, yeah, I'd just love to hear that.
Man, this is such a great question, and there's so many different aspects of that I'll try to hit on. Number one, Dave is a master at helping people do the hard thing, right? Hey, by the way, you're broke because you spend more than you make. So quit doing it. Like that's what he, by the way, I don't want that job. I don't want to tell people all day, like, hey, cut your cable bill, whatever. Like, that is the worst thing I could imagine. So hats off to Dave that he's willing to be that guy that just tells it like it is and tells people to quit doing stupid stuff with money, right?
Yeah.
But the reality is we're talking to two different people.
Yeah.
He's talking to people that are underwater and they're trying to survive. One would never tell people to do what we're talking about who are in that position because they're going backwards, right?
Yeah.
When you start talking to people who do have discretionary funds, they're trying to get to financial freedom today. They don't want to retire when they're 65 and 70, like what everybody else is doing. That, by the way, that means to be taken out of service. And I don't ever want to be taken out of service. I'm not called to be taken out of service, right? So,
hey guys, I hope you are enjoying this episode of the Cory Lee Show. Y'all, I am on a mission to build leaders and to transform culture. So if you're looking for a speaker who speaks directly to the heart, a mentor to come alongside you and your team, or if you're in a position where you're looking for a personal coach who embraces where you are and also believes in who you could become, then I would be honored to walk this path with you. Simply reach out to me on my email at Cory@CoryLeeLeadership.com. Look, let's make your vision a reality. Contact me and together we'll navigate the path from aspiration to achievement. Your transformation, it starts now.
His mindset is for people that want to be retired.
Yeah.
That's his whole thought. So he's going to tell you to buy term insurance and invest the difference for what? For retirement. Don't touch it. Hold off. Like, he doesn't trust you with money because you've proven to be underwater. Like, I don't blame him, but we don't see eye to eye because I want to empower people to say, man, if you organize your cash flows today in such a way that you can fund your own banking system, we call it the passive income operating system, and we walk people through exactly how to do it and what components where they're leaking money, they're putting money in bad places that aren't supporting that, all those sort of things. We do that one-on-one with people. Then they can now start leveraging that into passive income today. And you can get there super fast when you have it all lined up. But Dave is not talking to people about those things. And so I don't blame him for not being a fan of it. It doesn't line up with who he's talking to and what they're trying to accomplish. We're just doing two totally different things.
Yeah. Love how you made that clarification, and you're right. Like Dave Ramsey is helping people who have bad money habits, and I love how you've made the clarification of it's almost like playing defense versus playing offense, and like you're
Yep.
talking to people who are wanting to do something, and I'm with you as well. Like I like to work. I think before we even started the conversation, I enjoy work, man. And I don't see retirement as the way you defined it in my future. So, um, so let me ask you this. Let's say, let's, are you a fan of paying off your house?
No, no,
No.
absolutely not. Well, because think about again, another thing that Dave and I would be, differing on, because think about it. What is the actual formula to financial freedom? Well, it's when your passive income exceeds your monthly expenses.
Mm,
Okay, so let's break that down. If all I did was focus on what Dave says and just pay off debt, including my house, would I ever be financially free?
mm,
And the answer is no, because I can't pay off the cost of living. My monthly expenses are more than just my debts. It's your utility bill, it's your medical, it's your insurance cost. It is. Think about all the things: food, gas. All these things are things that are not one steady. They're going up over our lifetime, and they will continue to do that because of inflation. The cost of living never goes away. Even if I owe nobody anything, I still can't be free if I don't solve the other side of the equation, which is
mm.
passive income. And so I have to force myself to be an investor to produce all like income coming from somewhere other than me. Otherwise, I never am free.
Mm.
Active income, when you are the only asset at work, you'll never be free. Your money has to start producing cash flow for you to ever be free. And when I say free, I'm not saying I don't want to work anymore. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is, what am I uniquely gifted to give to this world? Because if you ever stop and ask somebody that question, I don't think people know how to answer it. Nine
Yeah.
times out of 10. They haven't even stopped to dream about what they would do when they're financially free because they literally are just putting up with life. Well, I mean, one day when I retire, I guess I'll just, get out of having to do this 9 to 5 grind. Or, man, Monday morning, I guess I got to go back to work. Like that's what we've given ourselves as the answer.
Yeah.
And it's the wrong answer,
Yeah.
right? There is something that you can provide to this world that you would do at a super high level, even if you weren't paid to do it. But you can't afford to do that when you don't have your money at work, creating the amount of money it takes to pay the bills. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. That's good. I think it's Brian Buffini. He was saying, when I get up and shave in the morning, I want my dollars to be shaving as well. Right? Exactly what you're saying. They are going to work as well. Joey, my background is in the physical therapy world. I can remember coming out of physical therapy. I was working at a hospital kind of north of you in Florence, Alabama, and the setting I was in was like a rehab setting. So you've got these people who are older, and they've come out of the hospital. Just they're too well to be in the hospital, but not well enough to be at home. And so I'm working with these elderly patients, and I can't tell you. It was daily. It was conversations, and the conversations went something like this. Yeah, me and my wife, we worked, 80 hours a week. We were the first one there, last one to leave, and we promised that as soon as we retired, we were going to travel the world. And I retired, and I'm in here, or she retired,
Mm.
we're in here. And as I told my wife, man, I was about 21, 22. I was like, we're going to be wise, obviously, financially, but we're not going to put life off to some time in the future, to some point off in the future. And man, that was really, yeah, profound thing.
Well,
So
you think about it. You are not guaranteed tomorrow.
no,
Why would we order our lives in such a way that banks on that and banks on all of the variables that would have to line up for that to be like the end of the rainbow, so to speak. To your point, I met a lady at the beach one time, and she's an older lady. Me and my kids, we all had our Wealth Without Wall Street swim shirts. I'm always, had to have my advertisement on my shirt while I was at the beach. And the lady comes up and she says, "What's that on your shirt?" I was like, "Oh, this is our company, Wealth Without Wall Street." She said, "Oh, what's that?" We started talking, and she said, "Yeah, me and my husband, we retired last year, and I hope it's enough." And I just remember thinking, like, super simple statement, but very profound thought process. Here she is. I mean, think about it. Just like your client you're saying was at the hospital, they're at the summit.
Yeah.
Right? This is what I've been working for. This is what I've been trying to get there. I'm grinding out, and I get to the summit. And the only thing I can say is, I hope it's enough. That tells me there's no abundance behind that.
Yeah.
There's no living like no one else. Like Dave Ramsey talks about, you're hoping that it doesn't run out. You're hoping, like, so think about it. If the market, this is the Wall Street mindset, if the market goes up after that, you would think, okay, I've got all this money in there. I just got extra. I can probably go spend some and go travel. But do you know what's right behind that raise in the stock market? A potential dip. And so you're always going to be thinking, well, I don't want to spend too much, because what if it goes down? Well, now if it goes down right after you retire or whatever, what are you thinking? Well, I don't know if I can take out what I had planned, because what if it keeps going down? Like, it's a psychological nightmare to put your hope in a pile of cash in something that has that many variables, and that's what you've worked your whole life for.
Yeah.
Like, we got to quit playing that game, man. That game is broken. And like you said, it's not just, hey, spend whatever you make today because you're not living for tomorrow. It's about being a steward of the money that you've been given and ordering it in a way that it creates more freedom of your time today. If it starts reducing your lifestyle expense because you don't have to work as hard, man, that produces freedom. And so we just have to be good stewards of what we've been given and think about it totally different.
Yeah, man, that's really good. I did ask this a second ago, and I apologize if you fully explained it. But can you go back into the infinite banking? Like I have done a little bit of research on that, not a lot, and so what is infinite banking? What does that mean? What does that look like? And how do you get started? How do you help people get started?
Yeah. So basically, the premise of it is at the center of it is a high cash value whole life insurance policy that's designed opposite of, let's say, the Northwestern Mutual, State Farm, whoever your neighborhood insurance salesperson would be giving you. And I say that for a reason, not to try to bash somebody, but when you go to those type of places, you're looking for death benefit. Hey, I want $1 million policy, or I want a $2 million policy, whatever, death benefit. When you're doing the infinite banking, you're actually solving for your cash. You're like, man, I want to start putting a lot of money into my control so that I can use it to buy assets, to produce cash flow. Well, then the question is, well, how much are you saving right now? Man, I'm saving $25,000 a year. And if I quit doing my 401k, and if I quit doing these other things, I might be able to be at $40,000 a year. Wow. Okay. Well, that's a lot of money, and it's got to go into the right location. When you start funding a policy like that with that kind of cash, it's going to buy a death benefit. But because we're doing this backwards, we're going to say, how much cash can I get into this with the least amount of death benefit? And the reason is because we want it to grow super fast, and we want to be able to access the majority of the cash as early as possible, because once we do that, we then take a loan against that cash value. We don't take the cash value out, because that would be withdrawing it or removing those dollars from the vehicle that's earning interest, which is what we do in a savings account. You think about it. If you put 40 grand in a savings account and then you find a real estate deal and you go take it out, what happened? The 40,000 quit growing because it's out here in this real estate deal. But because of the unique nature of these life insurance policies designed the way that they are, you have that 40,000 in your life insurance, and you go to the insurance company, they will give you a loan against that, which means your money continues to grow in the policy. You borrow the money from the insurance company, and you still get the real estate deal and the cash growing at the same time. This is how we're able to be ridiculously optimized, because if you got both growing, that means eventually you're going to be able to buy two deals faster than the person using a savings account, because you never gave up the interest component that was earning to begin with. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Makes total sense.
And then what we do with that is we just say, okay, we built a framework around not just an insurance policy, but how all of your cash flows. So when that money comes back in from an asset, it comes right back into your system. It goes back out to buy another asset. It's like a perpetual flywheel that is just stacking cash over and over, creating more cash flow to you, which again is the only means to creating freedom of your time. Yeah. And so that's the unique nature of this. I probably got a little too technical with you, but you get the idea. Is we're just trying to get a better mousetrap to get to the result much faster than the traditional banking system.
Yeah, no, I like that. And so let's say you got somebody who maybe there's somebody listening, they reach out to you, get set up. What are some assets that you're liking right now? What are you seeing kind of in the market right now?
Well, here's the beautiful thing about that question. It comes down to who are you as an investor? Because I'm going to tell you what we're doing, and I hope that it's helpful. But the best thing I can tell you is you need to find out who you are as an investor. We have a profile we call the investor DNA. So a lot of people have personality profiles, and I'm sure you use something like that whenever you're coaching people and helping them in their business and other things. You want to know what sort of personality they have, right? Well, the investments that you make should also line up with who you are as a person. How has God created you to see the world? Are you super driver personality? Are you an influencer? Are you like this steady kind of loyal personality? Are you really conscientious and, cautious? When you think about those things, you should not invest in the same thing as somebody totally different than you. Yeah. I'll give you a case in point. The big kind of wave came through in the last 5 or 6 years on short-term rentals. I'm sure you've heard that, vacation rentals, whatever. And man, there's a lot of money to be made in short-term rentals. But guess what? There's a lot of variables and volatility sometimes in that the seasonality. It's a hospitality business. When you get somebody who's a high C personality on like the disc profile, they're very cautious and, detail oriented, very like numbers driven. They hate short-term rentals because they're not in the business of trying to be hospitable. They want to know the numbers. They want to get a consistent check. When they start seeing that, man, the summer's really high and then the winter's really low, it's not a good place for them. Yeah. Now compare that with somebody who is a really outgoing or extroverted kind of influencer personality, like my business partner, Russ, and they love it. They love the excitement of the massive months and then the lower months, and they want to influence it. They want to talk to their friends about, man, you ought to go check out my condo down at the beach. Or, we actually had 27 short-term rentals here in Birmingham, if you can imagine. So when you're coming for your kid's soccer game, you could have stayed with us,
Yeah.
but we loved it because we could influence the outcome a little bit, not crazy, but we could. And it was very profitable. So I say that to say, I'd rather not like get people fired up about one investment and say, go do it. And then people be like, crap, that was terrible. I should have never done that because it just didn't line up with them. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, man. I love how you explain that as well. I like the idea of short-term rentals. Me and a business partner of mine, we had one, but for me, man, it was a constant check in and check out, clean this, clean that, make sure it looks good, and which is all good. And we've done some long-term rentals, but I found I really like commercial real estate for some reason. I don't know. So anyway, yeah.
Well, you're business minded.
Yeah, there you
You're
go.
helping business owners every day, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you understand business versus, and granted, short term rental is a business,
Yeah.
but there's a lot of people involved in terms of like just well, hey, you get the dumb questions like, hey, I don't have any more toilet paper. It's like, I don't want to be answering questions like that. Like, hey, how do I open up the screen door? It's like, click the door open. I mean, what do you want from me? Like
Yeah.
that's a terrible place to be if you're really, you want to be more business on track in commercial real estate. Very simple in that aspect. It's contracts, it's long-term growth, it's slow and steady. It's not, hitting home runs every day, but it's a lot of good singles and doubles.
Yeah, man, that's good stuff, Joey. Man, that's really good. I love everything that you've talked about. I think it's been very helpful, and probably quite a different perspective than most of the listeners that have talked, that are probably listening, because we're taught so much about the pay down the debt, get out of debt, get debt free, which I think is really good for a certain population, kind of like what you said. And I love how you made that differentiation. But man, the leaders on this call, you're builders, you build things, you create things, you're innovators, all that stuff. And so, Joey, I really appreciate your time. Hey, say there's someone that is listening and they want to connect with you. They want to find out more about what you do, and maybe even reach out to you to help them with their financial needs. How does somebody contact you, Joey?
Yeah. Well, I'll always love to hear that people heard this conversation, me and Cory. So if you'll go to wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/Cory Lee, wealthwithoutwallstreet.com/Cory Lee, you can get access to all my contact info. We've got a quiz on there to see how close you are to financial freedom, some other free resources. Love to have you engage with us there. And man, if we can help, we'd love to talk to you further.
Absolutely. Well, we'll put that in the show notes. Make sure you click that. Go check out Joey and all that he's doing. And so, Joey, I really appreciate your time. Thank you for adding value today. And thanks for coming on the Cory Lee Show.
Man, my pleasure, my privilege. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, guys, thank you for taking a listen. I know Joey has added value to you today. And so go check him out. But make sure you like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with any of the latest episodes of the Cory Lee Show. And we hope you guys have a great day, and God bless.
3, 2, 1.
Okay. Thanks for joining me today. I hope I have added value to you. And if you have found value in this episode, let me know. Drop a comment and make sure you share with a friend or family member. See you next episode.